One's own body, the source of all positive qualities without exception, is the expanse within 3 channels and 5 chakras. I take refuge in this body of expanse. Of the sky, I take refuge in the body of light. De take refuge in this body of greatness. Okay. So, Polly, so what's happening?
We have about 200 viewers
Mm-hmm.
around the world, from Singapore, Brazil, France, Canada, Iowa, Poland, England,
Okay.
and much more.
Okay, that's fine. So, welcome everybody. You know, this is quite exciting for us. We are here at Serenity Ridge at the Ligmincha Retreat Center in near Charlottesville, Virginia, in U.S. And we are in the middle of almost close to the end of our spring retreat with a group here, which has been going wonderful. And this is first time that we are like trying to use the technologies to break some boundaries of time and space and bringing everybody together in one place here. So this is very exciting. So I want to welcome everybody from all over the place. Some place it might be a little late, so wonderful that people are trying to put effort to participate this. So, and I hope that this is really like the beginning. That this will happen many times more, and so more and more that will all together in a different ways. Like in a different space. So not always in a physical space. Sometimes we talk about being in one physical space, and another time we talk about being in a more like a spiritual space. This is like cyberspace. So this is wonderful, and so I just wanted to maybe begin talking a little bit about some of the few main points. I'm going to actually look at all of you instead of looking at the camera. Is it still how you say, it's a little bit new, Should I look to all of you or to look at this group here? Well, I'll look back and forth, so. So we're talking about the creativity, and so I think if we look like last few days, somewhere quintessentialize a little bit what we have been talking. So we began to talk a little bit about, in order to be very creative, to recognize what is blocking, not trying to dig into what is blocking and trying to get attached to the stories of the blocking and who and why and how long, and it might be continue, and so, not like that, but just somehow in a very open way, kind of recognizing that maybe the fear is, I used to know a guy who is a very, I think is a very good musician, even though the type of music this person does, I don't know very much, but many people, when they hear this person, everybody's amazed by his music. And, but he always seems like, and he, in some sense, he really wanted to take that, his skill of musician in another level to in terms of the fulfillment for himself, in terms of the outreach, in terms of the, producing CD, reaching around the world, the records are everywhere, and somehow he kind of wishes that. And then it seems like he kind of also trying to work with the people, other people who also might contribute some of the things that he's not able to contribute. So he kind of able to bring quite a good people in, and it grows and grows. And the moment it really begin to take off, he messes up everything. Basically, he just could not handle that. And back in the same place again. And when I hear the story about that, and I can clearly see the deep behind is a fear of success. Fear of success. Or fear, maybe fear of what he does not know. So I think it's very good to, if you repeat that kind of behavior like one time or two times, at some point I think it's good to know why I'm doing this. It's not the first time I'm doing this. Why I'm doing this? Just even the simple question like that, just why I am doing this. You look inside, you ask that question in a very open way, the answer, it clearly will come out. Again, if you ask the question in a very open way, inside, from that space of openness, the answer will come out very accurately. It will just tell you. And when you hear what the answer is, then, for example, if it says it's a fear, then, it's a fear. That very moment, it's not about trying to find a solution. Now I have to get rid of the solution. How to get rid of the fear. It's not like that. The moment you say, or you hear, or you feel, it's a fear, I think there is already a shift in the dimension. There's already a shift. If you don't produce another fear over that fear, if you allow that recognition to mature itself, that fear will gradually dissipate because of the power of that openness in which the fear is coming out. Like cloud will gradually dissipate as long as the sky is there, unbounded sky is there. Cloud cannot sustain forever. It will. So in some sense, I think it feels like very important to know, in a simple, clear, short way what the obstacle is. Not long, unclear, and confusing way. That make sense? Do you know, like sometimes we're trying to find it's a long, unclear, and confusing to know what the obstacle is. Yeah. So it's a simple way. I think it's very important to know what it is. And then, so once you know, then as I said, you in that space you allow it, it clears by itself. You hold the space and it clears by itself. So I think one we can also say why it's important to be creative. That's probably to all begin with. I think why it's important to be creative. I think creativity is the joy. Creativity is like a food of the joy. So if any person, when one person is a creative, this person is connecting, because you see the word creative, a real sense of word, the creative, that creativity, there is a profound level of freedom, flexibility, effortlessness. And this quality of effortlessness is only coming from that knowing something, knowing yourself, knowing resources, knowing what to do, knowing. It comes from that knowingness, that awareness. It's coming from that. The knowingness is coming from that base. So somehow, in the real sense of creativity, is practice of nature of mind. So anytime any musician, when it's really tuned into the music, it's in that state. Or it can be in that state. Artists, when the deep level of work of art or creativity of art, it's a meditation. It's a sacred. Why it's meditation? Because it's very much connected with yourself. Why it's sacred? It's connected with that source. In expression, the expression which is a form, which expresses the form, but the way it's expressed, all the space, the energy, everything, it's very much connected with your own essence. That's why it's a creative. Or that's why it's a creativity. That's why, in some sense, we can say it's a tile. Tile, that's the word in Tibetan, enlightened action. Enlightened action, you know. You can imagine Buddhas, enlightened beings, has to be really creative to explain to confusing people. Right? Can you imagine that? It's not easy to trying to communicate with people unless you're really creative. But the creativity, again, when the Buddha, there's a saying, when the Buddha teaches, everybody hears, even in different languages. It's very creative. So when one person is talking, but everybody's feeling, oh, talking to me, how he knows about all my stories. That's the creative. When you hear, what are you talking about? That's not very creative. Even you might be talking a very important thing, meaningful thing, but it's not a creative. So in the expression of that creativity, the one who has that creative quality, it's very effortless. If there is effortless quality, it's very sacred, it's very powerful, and only way to have that, it has connected with that knowingness and that unbounded space. So when that expression is there, I think that is what gives our life so much joy. It gives happiness, it gives a purpose. It's just for that moment, whatever you're doing. And we know, everybody knows in a creative process, when the moment the goal and the agenda and that comes up, we lose the creativity. And in every creative situation, people do lose that. In the beginning, they have that. And they say, yes, let's do it. And then one deadline comes. You go a little down. The second deadline comes. You go a little down. And you have many deadlines, and you are dead. So all these deadlines, it kills you, and at that point there's no creativity there. And that always happens. So that, I think, one of the most challenging anything in life is just whatever it is. It's a work, it's a art, it's a communication, education, a creative expression, social work, helping other people, whatever it is. As long as that space and that joy, that some sense of effortlessness quality or playfulness quality in that matter, I think if that is there, it's all you might do good, feel good, and be helpful. So I think that is I think the purpose. It's not like a creativity, not to think about, okay, I'm not working next month, I have 1 month, I don't know what to do. So I want to do some creative things. I don't know, that's that creative. The creativity is, I think, is much more important. Places where you live, you do, you breathe, you work, to bring in those space. I think it's the most important thing. So that's the purpose of it. So now, what blocks the creativity is what blocks the space. You see, the source of the creativity has so much to do with how open you are, how truly open you are, and what blocks that openness is the way you identify yourself, such as, I don't want to be successful. or I am afraid of success, or I am not good enough for that success. I don't deserve that success. I don't deserve to be famous. I don't deserve to earning money. I don't deserve to be the world listening to me. I don't know. Whatever that is, that some sense has something or only thing to do with the way you think of yourself. I. And that I is occupying your creative space. And maybe everything is there, everything is ready. The only problem is it's you, or that I. And that I is not even you. So it's not in some way in the process of being creative, trying to figure out what is your obstacle, finding out which that I is not only helpful to be creative, but also helpful to self-realize. Helpful to recognize something deeper. I did feel a little bit in the beginning of the week here that people saying, okay, well, I'm trying to look at what is the obstacle of my artwork or my creativity, but then you begin to discover, oh, there's something a little bit more deeper than just the creation of art or music or painting or something like that. And that's true, that's very true. You really when you begin to look inside, you begin to discover a little bit more than just one obstacle, but that is a good beginning. So if that specific thing in the specific situation in relation to the specific creativity, if you recognize that, if you're able to dissolve that, take care of that, let go of that, be free from that, then your creativity begins. Then your creativity begins. And so you can say, how? Well, one way to look at that will be so that whatever that I is, this is what in the practices with Three Door we're talking about hosting your pain. In some sense, that is a pain. In some sense, that is a pain. That is some sense I who is afraid. And the fear is called pain. But it's you. Right? How long you have been living with that cute fear? A little baby fear. Probably for a long time. So finally you discover this cute little fear who is a very specific one in a specific space, occupying specific things, blocking specific creativity. And you recognize that like an acupuncture point. You recognize that. It's not like 84,000 afflictions. It's just one little fear related with one specific creativity that you are maybe it's not just one specific creativity, but it's a very big deal in your life. Could be professionally, could be very big deal in your life, or even in a personal life, could be very big deal to some sense of have some sense of really like discovering yourself. So when you find that, obviously, we talk about all the time that when you recognize that, what do? You treat that pain or you treat that fear with openness, with that touch of that light, holding in that space. We said you treat that fear, that pain, like you would treat a closest dear friend comes to you with the fear, fearful, trembling, like a shaking, and voice is not there, heart is beating fast, and it comes to you. What do you do? What you would do? You will be fully open to that person, right? Simple word. You will be fully open to that person. You will not divide your attention that moment. You will fully focus your attention to that person. Not only focus the attention to that person, you would also, that deep sense of a very warm, energetic care is there. Not only there is a warm sense of energetic care is there, but that is so strong that it naturally seeks the creativity. It seeks the solution. It finds the solution. And in a real sense, in a very open way, it can find a solution to good friends. Without agenda. In the family, sometimes you have agenda. You'll say, yeah, when somebody, family member comes, if you have a different story with the person, then that pure openness is not there. Somebody comes, you kind of help them, you say in the back of your head, you say, I told you. And maybe if it's the worst, then you say, you kind of deserve that. I hope you learn from this. I hope next time you don't do this. You see, those comments are there. Those comments are it's clearly a sign of not fully being open, not fully being aware, not fully being present, driven away by the thoughts and egos and agendas. So if you treat that pain, that fear of creativity or whatever, fear or whatever it is, really like a kind of a moment of open attention and care and hosting there, it dissipates. It dissipates. It goes. You feel liberation from that. Once you feel liberation, so that means what does that mean? That means a cessation of a particular fear or particular creative blockages in that particular moment in your life. It goes there. If it's a music, if it's a piece of art or writing, just even just finding a solution to something in your life, you're trying to find some answers in your life. Cessation of that fear, there is some sense of, it's not just empty, it's a vibrant. There is a light, there is awareness, there is a lucidity, awakening quality, has a wakefulness. That these qualities are there. If you recognize that a little longer, at some point it will begin to give a birth. The new hope, confidence, ideas, emotions, feelings will come like a volcano, it will come. It will come from that space. Because nobody is blocking the space. It only does not manifest because there's a block. If there's no block, it's the nature to manifest. It manifests. You will be surprised yourself looking at where all this is coming from. When it comes, don't ask too many questions like that. Where it's coming from? Where it's coming from? Is it really right? It is really right. Is it really true? Is it really true? You ask 4 or 5 times, that's the end of that clarity. You trust. It's amazing sometimes when people feel bliss, they ask, why I'm feeling bliss? When people feel pain, they say, this is normal. It's amazing, right? They don't ask questions. Of course you should be here. You're supposed to be here. You're here. Good you're here. But when the bliss comes, they go suspicious. Why? Why are you here? Why now? What it means? Are you real? Am I making up? All those questions come. When the pain arises, you're real. You're my personal stuff. You're my deep stuff. You are the reason I may have a lot of other friends. You're my support. It's kind of like that. So, second point, when the cessation of that, a quality, the light, the warmth, these qualities merge. These qualities are the kind of, the causes for creativity, like seeds for creativity. So these that's openness, and these awareness, I think, is also, if you look at the resolution of problem, sometimes we can think about not only as in terms of creativity, like, we were just in the conference here, it just made me reflect quite a lot about these things. And, sometimes we think about a very important thing in one's life is resolving a lot of issues, like resolving conflict with the people, friends, resolving conflict in your own head, and trying to be a little bit more open and friendly with people, be if you're a situation where you're working with other people, you're trying to be more helpful, more productive, and all those things. Can really come from this space? I mean, this is the point. The benefit, the fruition, what comes out of this inner refuge is so much so that it's hard to believe or hard to understand. Even sometimes we understand, you feel it, you transform, you have changed your relation with the people, you have relation with your food, or, whatever, every relationship that you wanted to change, you are capable or able to change. It gives you so strength, but still it's very mysterious how that space and awareness can do all those things. Does that make sense? And I think in a way, I think it seems like also very important to talk about what it can do or what it does. Fruit. What is the fruit of inner refuge? Apart from one thing about creativity, is specific art, music, whatever, but just overall, the creativity in life, creativity of life, what it does. It's amazing. So it is clearly, I think, so beneficial in resolving conflicts. If one is able to be in those space, it really finds a resolving conflict. I know, I'm sure that many of you already have a lot of stories, right? A lot of stories where, I heard a lot of stories from the people I share with other places when I hear the stories, that moment of conflict when you, instead of focusing on conflict, interpreting conflict, fearing there will be more, and so on, you go straight into that space, in that stillness, in that silence. And going there is not saying I'm running away, but you come back with the tools. They are like wisdom armors that you come with. A wisdom light that you come with. It illuminates the situation. That's what the awareness and the light is, the metaphor is. It illuminates the situation. You see more, you feel more, it's more clear. How many times happens that? A lot, no? So saying that is clearly the reason we can clearly say this. The creativity clearly comes from that space. The particular blockages, I do feel like it's important to recognize if there is one. If it's, for example, if it's a fear, then it's really important to recognize that fear. If it's like pride, then it's important to recognize also. If it's some sense of competition, whatever it is, whatever the obstacle is, just to recognize that. Because in that particular creation of art or event has directly linked with that obstacle. Unless that obstacle is clear, unlikely that manifestation will occur. Therefore, it's very important, that specification is very important. Otherwise, I think in general, maybe it's not so important. If you don't care that specific outcome of that art, then not important. But if you do care that specification of that outcome, then this specific, whatever that cause, condition, specific obstacle is there, it's important to recognize that. And also, maybe one of the obstacles of the creativity in art is that maybe that any given moment, if when we're trying to do something, and we have maybe little bit too strong idea about what we wanted to do. Little idea is good. Little too strong idea, it's not. You know, if you go in the field that you just wanted to be creative, then there might be a lot of things to be creative of, but you don't see them, because you already have decided what specific things you wanted to be. And that specific thought obscures all the potentiality, the possibility is obscures in life. I mean, that's not only in the art. I think it's the most important thing in the life. What you wanted to do in your life, it's good to have some idea, but not too clear idea about what you wanted to do. Because then you see the possibility. I mean, too clear, I don't mean like I said, when I said not too clear, that might sound a little bit. When I said too clear means that when the conceptual mind has too specific and too fixed idea about something, it might be an obstacle. You might think, oh, I have a great idea and I'm very clear about it. But that clarity of that conceptual mind, unfortunately, could be a problem. Because conceptual mind does not always see the full picture. It only sees the piece. The openness, that awareness, it sees the full picture. And conceptual mind occupies that awareness and that space, and it does not allow to see the full picture. So the full creativity, what could be possible, you're not allowing it, because conceptual mind is taking too strong position. So sometimes, if you know that, not empower your conceptual mind so much. This is what we all say. Just go with the openness. How many times do you say that? Just go with the openness. And that's true. If you just go with the openness, you see more, you feel more what is possible. I mean, just the human body probably is the one of the most creative place inside how the cells work, right? Can you imagine that? Don't you think it's creative? Billions and billions of cells. Every second moment knowing what to do, who to communicate, when to communicate, what not to communicate. Amazing, a creative event happening place. And it's true also, the most of the time our body works better with a less conceptual mind is present. And even in our body, maybe your blood flow is fine, the thought comes, it stops. Immediately, your one distorted mind can just start your heartbeat. One distorted mind can reactivate the cancer. One distorted mind can do anything in the body. But if that distorted mind is not there, there's more sense of harmony and flow and creativity in the way the healing occurs in a human body. And all this, they all know what to do, who to help, what to create, when to regenerate, and so on and so on. So in some sense, of course, when we think about creativity, I think we empower too much our thought. So here, it's discouraged to do that, if it's possible. So as you say, if I discourage my thought, then what is left with me? A lot. And the one who is asking is the thought. And he doesn't want to agree with that. Does that make sense? Yeah, maybe a few questions, maybe then we will do a short practice. Maybe before we do a short practice, maybe I'll open up a few questions in the group here and also group everywhere.
If somebody does ask a question here, if you could please repeat it.
I will. People want to hear your question, you know. Okay. Also, in the cyber world, and anybody have some questions also? Yeah.
Rinpoche, I've found that when I am dealing with fear, I've recognized that that fear is getting in the way of something I'm trying to do. Just holding it in space is sometimes quite hard to do. I mean, I want to run away from it. And we do have various practices that we do, of course, but you haven't been mentioning that, just holding it in space. Do you have some advice? Is there a particular... It was interesting to hear you say now, I heard you say it earlier about treating various kinds of problems as your best friend. I hadn't heard about fear as your best friend, but of course that fits. Let's say your best friend comes to you and is scared to death because they're feeling violent or something, So now you're afraid of them. I mean, do you have any advice about how to hold? No.
Yes.
Space.
Yeah. So basically, the question is to create a space in the moment of fear or whatever the challenge is. It's difficult, right? That's the number one. And so, what is number two? So the violent person comes.
No, I'm just saying, if you're frightened yourself, if you're frightened.
Okay. Yeah. If you're frightened, then how to create space?
Yeah, that's basic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, this question, does it sound a new question or old question? Okay, good. Thank you for agreeing with me. So yes, it's absolutely old question. We have repeated so many times in this Gompa, and I have repeated so many times this answer. As I said this morning, I'm happy to do again and again. Okay. So, and the main point is, again, the answer is the same. Answer is the same. You just, for example, when you really like feeling fear, right? You, like, let's say, I'm this moment, I'm really afraid. For whatever reason in my life, I can feel in my body, I can feel in my breath, I can feel my heartbeat. I'm feeling like that. So now I remember the question about inner refuge, and I'm trying to remember everything. Yes, I remember. What I remember? 3 pills. And that moment, as my body is going like this, I'm trying to be still. I draw my attention to the body. Instead of thinking whatever I'm fear of, the event, or whoever is causing me, and instead of thinking the person, the situation, how it can worse it can get, instead of looking any of those things, the first thing is not to look at it. It's a wrong attention. It's to just remember the attention should be clear, open attention in the right place, which is the stillness of your body. Because your body is not still, it's shaking. Body is not breathing well. The blood circulation is not going right. Everything is going wrong. Body needs that stillness. Just remember that. That's all. That very moment, what I do, just the same thing. Just melt that moment. Maybe my hand is shaking. I go hold it. I draw my attention to the body. It's hard, but I can do that. I'm losing my attention time to time. But I know I need to just go back to drawing attention to my body, the stillness. I take deep breathings, trying to maintain my attention to the body, a little more. 5 minutes pass. I just feel calm. 10 minutes pass. I feel some space. Maybe I feel that inner refuge. Half an hour pass. Suddenly one thought, new thought came. It says, no need to worry about it. It's okay. Just a moment, just one thought, one new thought. And that new thought is the product of that stillness. It's the result of that connection to that space, not the fear. It just comes out. Some sense of confidence just arises there. Just like that. But of course, I know, reason why we ask this question again and again, it's very important. I think okay. Well, let me say this way: when I say you're asking this question again, I don't mean to ask again. I'm not saying don't ask me again. Okay, that's not the point. As you know, you can ask me anytime, as many times. I will answer you. And it's very important to ask. The moment you're asking that question, is something's happening in you. You are actually feeling more that moment in a real way in your body, in a real way in your breath. You're feeling that liveliness of that fear and that energy. And then when you feel that, then you begin to say, what do I do when I feel that? That's a more real question. Because when we ask question which is not very real, then it becomes very intellectual. There's no meaning about that. No, and then sometime when, as a teacher, when I feel that intellectual aspect of it, I get less interested because I don't feel a life in it. It might be the same question, same line, same everything, but when I feel the dryness of it in it, it does not interest me. Because then it becomes a repeated thing, a dead, repeated information. When I'm repeating the same information with a life, that is not boring because there is a life in it. When somebody is asking that question with a life, that is not boring because there is a life in it. When somebody is repeating that question because of as an intellectual, then it is boring because there is no life in it. Does that make sense? Yeah, just simply go there. Take that pill. How many times people have done here? What? Many times, right? And I think one of the most beautiful thing, one of the most beautiful thing is recognizing that you are remembering to do it when it's needed. When you notice yourself, oh, you know what to do. Wow, great. It's like you're a child who falls down and he remembers to get up. Wow. You got it. It's a kind of joy. A joy of knowing what to do in that most moment. A joy of knowing joy of knowing that what you need to do those moments when you're doing it, it's really, truly joyful. But of course, it's sad. It's okay to be sad. When that moment comes, you forget about everything. Years of retreat, years of practice. Just don't remember anything. Sad. But this is the purpose of repeating. When we repeat again and again, one day it definitely changes. Yes, Polly.
There's a question that says, Rinpoche, are you saying that how I define who I am is the critical factor to how open I am to creating my world? Are you saying that how I define who I am, is this the critical factor to how open I am to creating my world?
Yes, so basically, So how I am, what is it, Sir Soli?
The question is how they define who they are. Is that the critical thing?
Yes. So question is, the how they define themselves, who they are, is it a critical thing? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's a critical thing, but not necessarily always, we have to live with it. Many things we have to live with. Right now we are living with it. We all are living with the idea of who we are. But some of them are quite nice, cute. Some of them quite comforting. Some of them quite funny. Some of them quite joyful. But some of them are quite problematic. And this particular retreat, when we are talking about the creativity, and some of them are clearly blocking your creative aspect of yourself. Therefore, that how you define yourself, how you identify yourself in relation to that creativity, is it a critical or not? You tell me. If you ask me, should it be critical? No. But that doesn't help. If you say, no, it's my livelihood. I have to be creative in this moment because otherwise I lose my job. Yes, sorry. It is a critical thing. I agree with you. But that's how you're saying. So how I can disagree with you what you're saying? It doesn't make sense somebody else to disagree with what you feel. So it doesn't make sense, right? So therefore, it is a critical thing. If you feel it's a critical thing, it is a critical thing. If you don't feel it's a critical thing, it's not a critical thing. Right? So you tell me. Yes?
I have another question here. Someone is asking, is this about the process you're talking about? Being open, laying out a plan, proceeding with it, but don't plan the results. Is that right? So to be open, lay out the plan, proceed with it.
So the question is, be open, lay out the plan, and should one focus on a result or not, right? So, of course, there's always some degree we have to focus on a result. There's some outcome we project. But the amount where you're projecting on outcome, it depends on that. Because sometimes, in a way, everybody wanted to be successful. Everybody, people agree or not, but in deep inside, everybody wanted to be famous, everybody wanted to be rich, everybody wanted to be successful, everybody same. But not everybody is same. Even we say in Tibetan, we say, even look at your 5 finger, they're not the same size. They probably should be all the same size, but they're not. It's a different. So some sense, of course, the goal is there, but the focus is not in the goal. Focus is in a creative process, a liveliness, living that moment. That's what you have. That's really what you have. You don't know you have tomorrow or not, but you have now. So if you cannot live what you have, then it's a very questionable if you are able to live what you don't have, what you might have. Because there will be also a moment, right? There will be a moment. Tomorrow will be like today. Deja vu. So I think it's, in the teaching, they always talk about the boundless view. Of course, to have completely boundless view is very difficult, but you're trying to be as open as possible. But I think the refuge, it always help. Always help. For me, every day, it's amazing experience. What I see, what I feel, the decision that I make, it's been incredibly helpful. And I clearly know that these decisions are the blessing of connection to that inner space, inner sacred space. There's no doubt about that for me. And I'm surprised sometimes, even the decision that I make, which is sometimes quite a hard decision. If I look back a couple of years ago, those decisions, I'll be a little more confused, not know what to do. But when you turn in the right direction, just the right answer. Comes out. Very creative. Very creative. That's what I feel. Yeah. Yes.
Going back to the fear of success, I think I've experienced that, and you say to go and ask, why am I feeling this? But then when I do that, just sitting here, I've been experiencing, well, that takes me into this conceptual place.
Yeah. No, I think it's not so important to think about, the history. That's what I'm saying. Don't go into the history and reasoning and something like that. If you feel clear connection, so the point is, let's say the blockages. We talk about the blockages, right? We talk about blockages. If it's a physical blockages in the body, maybe it's good to know where the blockages are. Then the Masu can, if they find out where the blockages are, what does Masu does? Gets the massage, right? That massage just tries to open that. And if the healer kind of knows where that, they're trying to move that energy from that, right? So for oneself, is it a physical, energetic, or psychological block? It's important to connect with that, right? To be aware of that, to connect with that, to get in touch with that. Not run away, avoid, deny, no, just to connect with that. And then connection also means different things. And most of the time, when you're saying, "Oh, I know what my fear is," then if there's a lot of dialogue, those kind of connection is not a very good connection. Remember, we talk about in the practice selecting properly. I said, when you think about it, you deselect. Then after that, delete button doesn't work. But you select them with non-conceptual awareness, like a more open hosting. That is the hosting. That is you connect. That's how you see it. Like when somebody comes to you, you're present there. Not when you're thinking. How much you think when you genuine hug? How many thoughts occurs in a genuine hug? No thoughts. Would you say it's not a good hug? No, you say it's a good hug. Why? Present, full present. Same way. The connection is there when you hug somebody. Thought is not there. When you also connect with your fear, if thoughts are there, you don't connect. And when you don't connect, they don't heal. And they don't even disappear. Because what interferes the connection is the one who is feeding it to be strong. Because there's some subtle voices going on. Yes, yeah, going on. That's feeding it. The smart ego is giving little food, I mean, you see that even in the people, in the people, when the dynamic of people's relation, you can see that somebody is trying to be nice to somebody, you see the agenda there. It's not really nice. I mean, I always tell the story about this one person that I know. It's a kind of interesting guy, and he always asks people how they're doing, and the way he does it, it's kind of annoying. And he goes, "Hi, how are you?" And then the moment, his word and the energy is coming, it's completely opposite. The word, it seems like saying, "I wish you are good." The energy behind what it comes saying, "I want some bad news." And then if you say, "Oh, thank you for asking, I'm doing quite okay." "Are you sure?" You can tell me. 3 times you have to ask that way, then you are in pain. Even you are not in pain, that helps. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And that's how sometimes we do with ourselves. You feel bliss, you feel quite good. You say, are you sure? Are you sure it's a bliss? Feels good, but are you making it up? Are you faking it? No. The bliss is, every question takes the piece of bliss away. And at some point, you know bliss is not there. Either it's real or not real. What you were feeling, it's gone. And then when what you're feeling is gone, then the funny thing is, then you stop asking questions. You don't say, is this pain real? No. Pain is real. Pain is the truth. You don't ask that question. So therefore, pain stays longer. Not too many questions are asked. Not doubt interferes so much with them. So anyway, yeah.
So it's important, I think, to remember, or would you say that if you're in the middle of a big decision or a life turmoil or emotional trauma, that it's good to remember to pause and stop and allow for an inward look to find a truer voice come forward.
Just, yeah, so question is, when one is a difficult situation in one's life and seeking for specific answer in life, is it important to be trying to find a little bit more space to until the true answer will emerge, right? Yes, absolutely. I mean, we know that, right? We know that. This is what when I say, for me, it's been really, really helpful. That's exactly what I mean. That means, I think the most important thing here is these instructions that I'm giving about, like saying 3 pills or 3 refuge. These are specific things, and these specific things are very helpful because it's like we call it manual. You have a manual, so say, you listen to the body. I know that. You do that. Otherwise, if it's a very vague, then you said, oh, kind of know everything, but you don't know, what I need to do this moment. It's always the same. If it's related with the body, listen to that stillness. So when you give that space, the answer comes. Answer comes. And for example, I can tell some personal story. I think which is always good to tell personal story rather than always having vague stories. There are things that, like every year, a situation repeats, like tax, right? Which it's not like you complete this in 1 year, right? Next year, everybody knows April 15th or 17th this year. I don't know, whatever it is. So the things which repeats, and if you know how every year you deal with it, stressful, tension, no solution, maybe still same kind of struggling, same kind of fight that we have to work with. If it's the same every year, then certainly when you are in a same kind of situation, but this time you go to inner refuge. When the same moment comes up, this year you go to inner refuge. This is the first time, and all these years you know what to do, and you go to inner refuge. And when you do that, and this is the first year, also you find a new answer for what to do, which you did not know all these years in your life. That's amazing. And I personally have many, many examples like that. And some of the things are quite brave. I mean, brave means like willing to sacrifice, give up, or give to somebody, or give up something from your life. quite brave things. Sometimes I'm shocked. Wow, can you really do that? Yes, you can. In that space, in that space, you feel the confidence to be able to do that. Not only you feel the confidence able to do that, you see yourself doing it. That's a wonderful experience. You feel less conflict with the people around you because there's a lot of things you can give up. That makes sense? Okay. Yeah.
I'm thinking it might be helpful to have maybe a guided meditation now, so that internet audience has more of a sense of what you're talking about.
Sure. No. I'm planning to do it, but if there's any last-minute questions, yes.
You mentioned the 3 pills, and you've spoken of stillness and spaciousness, which I believe are 2 of the pills. Can you speak of the third one?
Stillness and silence is the first 2, and the spaciousness is the third one. So stillness with the body, silence with the speech, spaciousness with the mind or heart. Okay? Okay, so let's just... I think it's a great opportunity to have this session with the people from all over the world, right? And in some sense, when we talk about unbounded space, it's kind of a little bit hard to know what that means in unbounded space. I'm trying to expand my space. I can go out of this room, but that's not enough, right? For here, when you're trying to feel everybody, the internet practice is always, this is the wonderful thing, when you feel that space in which you know and physically how far they are from each other, and then but you can still feel connection and oneness in that one space. So that collective, unbounded inner sacred space through which you connect with everybody, I think it's very, very powerful. So I would encourage you to just trying to feel that. So just sit comfortably, and then all those who know the 9 breathing, we'll do 9 breathing, and then those who don't know what 9 breathing is, just breathe 5 times very deep, and especially when you're breathing in, just feel the more like a pure energy and air, fresh air coming in, and when you release your breath, just release whatever you're holding this moment, either it's agitation, anger, restlessness, stress, sense of loss, sense of incompleteness, whatever it is, whatever you're feeling this moment, you just breathe it out, and just by breathing out, you're just trying to come to this time and space here and now. Just be aware of this openness in 3 channels in the center of your body. Also, draw your attention to your body as body is still this moment, and you feel the stillness of the body in this room, and all the people that were meditating with us this moment, that collective stillness. Clearly feel, connect with that stillness, and gradually go deeper and be aware of that unbounded sacred space. As you can feel and be conscious, time zone is not affecting. Geographical location is not affecting. Distance is not affecting. You can be aware of that. It's not a theory. It's the awareness. That unbounded sacred space is our inner refuge. Is the mother for the child. Is the friend. Is the home. When we're experiencing that collectively, that oneness, collectively, when we merge in that space, the differences dissolve. The conflict vanishes. Duality liberated. Pain heals. So rest in that space. if there's a specific blockages of thoughts, emotions for your creativity, if you recognize something, you feel something, you're aware of something, just allow that. Such as that fear, which is like a pain, allow that. In the presence of that unbounded space and awareness, like bringing a patient or the person who's sick in front of the doctor. The moment that fear is close enough to that sacred space, it vanishes. You see it, you feel it. Not drawing attention to the fear, but being aware of that unbounded space and allowing the fear, allowing whatever obstacle is, that particular obstacle of your creativity will vanish. Let it go. Rest in that space. Through the silence of the speech, connect with that, the infinite awareness, self-awareness. And also hear and feel a silence in your body, silence in this room, silence in that unbounded space, collective silence. Be aware of that light, that wakefulness, that knowingness. It's a single taste, what is known rochik. One taste. And you and others across the continent, even in other universe, it's the same. It's one. And this awareness is the one who knows. It tastes one. It's our second refuge. That knowing is very fulfilling. That knowing is very rewarding. That knowing is very completing sense of completeness. That knowing feels very rich. Richness of knowledge. Just be aware of that sense of completeness we all have within ourselves. To the spaciousness of the mind or the heart, be aware of that warmth in yourself and collectively. Just feel the collective warmth. Our thoughts, conceptual mind, have problem with the distance and space. Our heart does not. Feel that warmth across the continent. It feels it. You're connecting with everybody's heart this moment. You're connecting with that warm, collective warmth. This warmth has a power to transform our life. This collective warmth has a power to transform global situations. Just feel that. Dedication.